Welcome to Not Today Cancer. I'm so excited because today I have a guest in the house. Noisy, bossy, compelling Fitz Koehler of the fitzness.com is the author of multiple books, including My Noisy Cancer Comeback, Your Healthy Cancer Comeback, Sick to Strong and Healthy Cancer Comeback Journal, a busy keynote speaker, a professional race announcer, and fitness expert. Her company, Fitzness International, has a global reach, and she's conquered every avenue of mass media to help people live better and longer. I'm so happy to have you here.
Hi, I'm ecstatic to be with you, Jen. Hello to you and Heidi ho to all of your listeners.
I know it's so fun to connect with people on Instagram, on social media. I don't know if I found you or you found me, but we found each other.
That's all that
And
matters.
yes, and you sent me your book and it's incredible. And I read it. And so I'm excited to dive into that and share all the things. But let's start with your breast cancer journey, your story with it.
Sure. So, 2019, I was living my best life as an athlete and the, beacon of health and happiness professionally. And 7 weeks after a crystal clear mammogram, I was at a race weekend, running a race weekend. I got out of the shower and I rubbed my under boob and I found a lump. And I thought, damn it, there it is. And picked up the phone instantly. They're naked in the bathroom, just grabbed it on the counter. That's what we want people to do is don't Google it. Don't call your mom and cry. Just pick up the phone and make the appointment. And I did. And so within about a week or so, I had all of the appointments and the mammogram and the ultrasound and the biopsies. And I got that call that says, Fitz, you have breast cancer. It's in that mass. It's in your lymph nodes and it is spreading through you like wildfire. It's very aggressive. So we're going to have to treat you ASAP. And so I was eager to get the cancer killing show on the road, terrified, stressed, certain I was going to die. And as many of us are, I was afraid of losing my own life, but really I was mourning the loss of my children, not
Oh,
seeing them grow up. And of course, my dog, what was she going to do without me? Right. So
oh, right.
it was horrible, like everyone experiences. And then finally, met with my oncologist, who I deem a wizard, and he said, "Fitz, listen, 94% of all breast cancer cases are curable. Yours is specifically curable.
Mm.
It's mean and it's aggressive, so we're going to have to treat it equally, but." You're going to come out of this in one piece. So I appreciated that. And so I turned my frown upside down and I committed to I knew cancer was going to take my hair and it was going to take some good feelings, but wasn't going to let it take time with my kids. And I certainly wasn't going to let it take my career. And I had 15 months of chemo, which I think is super rude. I'm sure anyone else who has had
Rude.
chemo for a
So
long
rude.
time, I think it was rude. It was awful. That was the worst part for me. I was violently ill for a very long time. I was skeletally thin at some point and weak, and it really, the chemo was the worst part for me. And then I had lumpectomy and they took some lymph nodes and I had 33 rounds of radiation and I lived to tell. So I'm really
Wow.
grateful for that, right?
That's a lot. So interesting. I thought about this right in the beginning as you were sharing is you immediately felt it and you knew like so many people will be like, I don't know what this is. And they kind of wait and see. Do you have it in your family? Like what made you?
You know what? I don't. I had when my daughter was born, I had calcification. I had a
Okay.
lump that was suspicious and it turned out to be nothing special. But no, I mean, I'm just aware. And I, many, many years ago, went through some training to help breast cancer patients manage
Oh,
exercise during and after to prevent lymphedema and so forth, and to accommodate different like lat flap surgery and all the different horrific options out there for women. So I'm just in the know. But yeah, you find a lump in your breast. Gosh darn it, if you don't instantly think it might be breast cancer, you're not paying attention.
totally. Agreed. I agree. Totally. I didn't know. Mine was found on a mammogram. I had no idea. I still haven't I do my massages. I'm like, I'm not feeling anything. But anyway, so I love your attitude. I'm very similar. I was freaked out too, consumed with fear. Life is over. And then I was like, okay, no, it's not. Cause my surgeon was also like, girlfriend, you got this. Easy
Yeah.
peasy. And I love that. Like that mentality is so good.
Well, you know what? When you're on the inside of breast cancer, you know the odds are really in your favor, unless you, gee whiz, unless it's spread without you knowing it, unless it's gone so far, or you, I don't know. I mean, there's really not a lot of cases. Thankfully, we're saving most of us now. Is 94% good enough in a disease that impacts 1 in every 8 women in our country? Absolutely not. But
Yeah.
if you're on the inside and you know the statistics, like now, because of my books, people all around the world are reaching out saying help. And I am no doctor, so I know this in advance, but I feel really comfortable and confident when I tell women and sometimes men, hey, you're going to beat this. They have
Yeah.
invested and they have found cures for most of us. You're going to be okay. And I
I
mean
love
it.
that. So good. So good. And so how old were your kids?
Ginger was 15 and
Uh-huh.
my son Parker was 13. And yeah, that was tough. It was tough.
Yeah.
I waited until I knew officially what I had and
Yeah.
what I was facing before I told them. I gave him the good news, bad news spiel. I said, hey, listen, bad news. I found a lump. I've gone to some appointments. It turns out I do have breast cancer. The great news is I'm going to be just fine. I might look a little weird. I might feel a little bad, but I'm going to be okay. And we had just lost a very close friend, their friend's mom, to pancreatic cancer.
Oh,
So, I had to really lean in and say, this is not the same disease.
yeah.
Sadly, I wish let's all turn the attention to pancreatic cancer now. But so that was scary. My son handled it really peacefully and quiet. He just said, "Mom, you're going to look so cute bald," which was
Oh,
the most adorable thing for him to say. And then when we told our daughter, she just wailed. It was agony for her, and it was agony for me to see her. And even though I wasn't confident I was going to make it, I was leaning in, saying, "Yes, I'm going to be fine." Parenting with cancer is interesting, and
very.
but they went from sad and stressed to quickly making fun of mom's bald head, and kids are resilient, and they got through it. I got through it. We all got through it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know it's not easy with the kids, especially when they're old enough to understand. And yeah, I agree. You just have to be positive and show them what's possible. And I remember too when I thought chemo was on the table, Drew was like, and he was, oh gosh, 15 at the time. And he was he was like, I'm gonna shave my head when you go bald. Like so sweet. You know what I mean? Kids are amazing. So in your book, you share, I love this. You share a cancer diagnosis can leave you feeling like your life is spinning out of control. And during this chaotic time, one of the main things we wish for is control, which is so freaking true. So, how do you recommend people do that?
Yeah, so that is actually for Your Healthy Cancer Comeback, Sick to Strong. And that book is the blueprint. It's the guidebook for cancer patients and survivors to manage their nutrition, their exercise, forget manage, to weaponize exercise and nutrition, quality, rest, complementary care to their benefit, right? So this is your guidebook on how to manage this stuff to increase your chances of getting to recurrence, decrease your chances of increase remission, decreased chances of recurrence. But yeah, chapter 1 is called Control. And yeah, we feel like life just went on spin cycle. You're in all of these appointments, you're going to lose your hair and all this. Everything hits the fan. So let's control what you can. What can you control? So you can control your mind to an extent, right? Can you utilize perspective? For me, it was, I'm not a kid with cancer. It's not my kid with cancer. And for that, I'm going to be grateful, right? So
Mhm.
there was that. I'm in better shape than that scenario. Number 2, I pursued my passions hardcore. Those are things, guys, you can continue on with. Mine was my career. I boarded over 30 planes out of my hometown to go announce these monster road races, marathons, and do keynotes all around the country while bald. Never wore a wig. I just thought, F it, I'm continuing on. Cancer's not going to get in my way. So whether you love animals or you love art or you love singing, whatever it is, you got to keep going because that will keep you. And then last, you choose to stay positive, right? You look at the bright side, you find the silver lining. So that's one thing you can control. But the other thing you can control is what you put in your mouth and how you move your body. And folks, there are endless studies that prove we can impact our outcomes with exercise and nutrition. I mean, Hardy, endless studies. I was just at the American Society of Clinical Oncology conference in Chicago in June, and I want everyone to know there is hope. There are tens of thousands of brilliant scientists and medical minds working together to find cures, but all of them are saying, you need to do what you can. So I don't need to talk down to anybody. We know what food helps and what food hurts, right? The food that was grown from the ground, less processed, less sugary, less oily. Those are things that are good for you. The stuff you learn to lean towards in kindergarten. But when it comes to exercise, holy mackerel, it's not just about maintaining muscles and looking great. It's about preventing the decline.
Mm-hmm.
So your mom, your dad, your best friend is going to say, rest, rest, rest. And if all you do is rest, your muscles are going to atrophy. You're going to lose mobility. Everything's going to feel stiff. You're going to lose stamina. And worse, you're going to lose balance. And people are like, balance? What does that mean? Well, if chemo's affecting your mind, or whatever prescriptions are affecting your mind, or radiation, if you're not doing balance training, you're even more susceptible to fall. And that's all you need is cancer and a concussion, or cancer
Yeah.
and a broken hip, right? So it's not about being who you used to be. It's about what you can do right now. So if your exercise for the day is getting up out of the hospital bed and walking down the hospital hall, bravo. If it is a stay in bed day because you're like me and you're exploding, all right, well, let's do stretches and strength training in bed. Let's stretch in the shower. So it all adds up, and it's just, you need to focus on, what can I do today to give me to help me get 1% better, or prevent me from getting 1% worse.
Yeah, I love that. It's the percentage. You have a 55% reduced risk of recurrence by following the minimum guidelines, which is really, if you break it down, it's about 22 minutes a day of movement. Like, I think people overcomplicate this and they think they have to spend hours in the gym, and you don't. Strength is so important. HIIT cardio is so important, but it doesn't need to be anything aggressive. It is just so much simpler than people make it out to be. So
Amen.
Yeah. And what I love, oh my gosh, everybody needs this book. In her book, there's a slew of pictures to show you these stretches and moves to do in bed or in the shower to prevent lymphatic massage. That you had that training prior to your diagnosis is kind of crazy.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So, in general, I'm a fitness expert. I have a master's in exercise and sports sciences. I've spent my entire career, my adult life, committed to helping people live better and longer. It's funny, when I was writing the book, I reached out to some oncologists, to a person who is an exercise oncologist, and I was looking for something different. I kept saying, well, what's different? What do you do with cancer patients that I might not be doing for the general population? And she basically had no information. So the good news is, cancer, or exercising during cancer, isn't complicated. Right. So you're right. There's hundreds of photos in there. I break it down by body part. This is how you strengthen your back or your chest. It's with bands. It's with small dumbbells or big, whatever you choose, or gravity. So I've kept it simple, stupid. So nobody has any excuses. Not like, I don't have the equipment. Sure you do. Spend $3, order some bands. You've got the equipment. Can you exercise in a chair? Quite often cancer, and this book is not just for breast cancer. It's for cancer patients. So, if cancer has taken your leg or prevented you from standing up right now, okay, well, here's dozens of exercises you can do in a chair. And I think the bed is this perfect place everyone's ignoring. Okay, you're stuck in bed. You feel like crap. I get it. Can you still stretch your quads or your hips or your shoulders in bed? Yeah, you can. And I never take it for granted that people know what I mean when I say do this stuff. So having explicit photographs with explicit detailed instructions is my mechanism to make sure nobody has any excuses.
I love it. I remember because I've been into fitness for a while too. And that's what I did, was helping people get started with their fitness and health. And I remember people would say to me, well, you're fit and healthy and you can get cancer. So what's the point? What's the point? And I was like, oh my God, there's so much more to it. It's like mentally, it is like, especially women. And I'm assuming you were thrown into menopause too.
It's so great. This is my silver lining. So thanks to cancer, I have no period.
Yes.
I can't get pregnant, which is great for me because I've already been through that. And I went through menopause during my 15 months of chemo. So you know what? I'm sure I had some symptoms, but they were just garbled up with all the other stupid symptoms. And I'm done.
Same. So, and that's the thing is like, I I had a few things happen, but they went away really fast or they weren't consistent. And I know it's because of the work that I do with my exercise and with my nutrition. Okay, but so what do you think and what do you say about that when somebody would say to you, "Hey Fitz, like I don't get it. You're so healthy. How can you still be diagnosed? And what's the point?" How was your response?
Right. For starters, sadly, there are oodles and noodles and babies all around the world in clinics, cancer centers right now with cancer, and those babies didn't do anything. So there's not always a finger to point, and Lord knows why I ended up with cancer. The things I'm pretty confident I am preventing with my good habits, definitely, colon cancers and lung cancers. I avoid beef. I avoid processed food. So, breast cancer might be an easy ride compared to some of these other options that are often lifestyle related. And folks, if you've got lung cancer and you didn't smoke, I'm not pointing my finger at you, but
Mhm.
there are certain things that we can avoid, right? So wearing sunscreen makes you less likely to have melanoma, for example. But this was great. So my first 6 months was the hellacious taxotere carboplatin progetta Herceptin combination, 9 hours per day in the chemo chair. And for me, it was awful. I know some people do really good on it. I was exploding. I was constantly sick. I had IV fluids 5 days a week here in Gainesville. And then if I'd fly to Los Angeles to go announce a race, I would get IV fluids before and after the race. So I was working hard to keep myself going. But by the time I went to round 6 of that chemo, I showed up at my doctor's office, and everybody knows that chemo round number 1 is terrifying because of the unknown. Well, chemo round number 6 is way scarier because you know what you're going to get, right? You know what it's going to do to you. And so I went into Dr. Gordon's office like a little basket case. I was nervous and I was gray and my fingernails had ripped off and I had no hair on my.
Oh,
I was a train wreck and I was nervous and just fragile. And so he says, Fitz, you have been doing so great. And I said, I haven't. And he goes, no, I'm so proud of you. You've been doing so great. And I said, Dr. Gordon, I am a catastrophe. Every morsel on my body has been obliterated in some regard. Why are you saying that? He said, listen, I'm not suggesting you haven't suffered. I know you have suffered greatly. However, if you had not been so committed to health and fitness before cancer, during cancer, you would not have been able to board 20 flights already. You would have possibly, the way you responded, you likely would have been hospitalized, not for one day, which I was. You would have been hospitalized for a month. You might have had a feeding tube, which would have set you up, made you prone to infection. So I'm not saying you haven't suffered, but amongst all the suffering because of your strong body and your commitment to nutrition, you have traveled and had more adventure than most healthy people do in 10 years. So yes, you've suffered, but your healthy habits paid off. And that's where the real light bulb went off. And I thought, oh, okay. All right. That was it. Golly, it could have been that much worse if I hadn't had this commitment to fitness. So there's an argument right there is, to me, spending a month in the hospital, feeding tubes, infections, those seem like a hell of a lot worse than whatever I went through.
yeah. I also think like, oh my gosh, the people that are diagnosed and they're at square one, it's hard. I feel like I was totally prepared for this.
Wow.
Fitness was on track, health was on track. I changed things though. I did change things. I did more of a ketogenic diet and I was eating for the skinny jeans and now I eat for longevity. And I'm similar to you where I do not eat the meat and eat more plants and from the earth and not processed foods, not the fake meats. So I do similar to you and I feel good about that. That also gives you a sense of control back, but I feel like it prepared me for this. And
Well, it does. And you know what? There are no hideous side effects to stretching or doing push-ups. I mean, push-ups might be hard, but they don't come with baldness. Your fingernails don't rip off because you're eating broccoli. I mean, when it comes down to it, if I am pro Western medicine. I am grateful for that chemo, radiation, all of those things. This is not the cure, but this is a way to assist in the cure and make the cure a lot less traumatic and of course a prevention tool. It's just, and it's also infection. So people say, oh, I might be getting a cold. I got to dose up on vitamin C. All right. Well, how about we prevent all sorts of infections by eating nutritious food? That's why we eat nutritious food, is we're constantly combating infection, especially when people are poking holes in your body, like literally jamming stuff through your skin on a daily basis. Yeah,
Mm.
that ability to fight off infection means a lot. You're not going to get it in a bag of Doritos.
Absolutely not. Interesting enough too is I don't crave that stuff or want it. I remember we were on vacation and my husband was like, just treat yourself. Have these fries. I go, I don't want it. Like if
Yeah.
I wanted it, I would have it. I don't want it. And so that's what happens when you start living that healthy lifestyle. The things that you crave don't become a craving anymore. You crave the good, healthy fruits and vegetables and all the things.
Yeah. And, I know there's some people out there just saying, but I just don't know how. And that's why I wrote the book. That's why I wrote the book, to
Mhm.
uncomplicated, to say, here are clear and easy to understand. This is for layman's terms. And I remember when I had, even though I did all the right things as much as possible, it took its toll on me and I lost a lot of weight. At some point, I lost a lot of weight, about 12% of my body weight, and I was weak. And I had this moment where it was post surgery. I finally got permission to actually go back in the gym and start lifting. And I sat down on a machine and I put the pin in where it used to be and I pushed and nothing happened. So I had to lower the pin. I pushed again and nothing happened. And what I found is that I had lost 80% of my strength.
Wow.
So that was a lot of strength. And so it was about the same day where my mom said, you need to eat. You look like you were in the Holocaust. I was like, thanks, Mom. I know, I got it. I'm trying. So, but I sit there and, at that moment where the pin went down to 80% strength loss, I thought, well, this is a point where most people would run out of the gym, get in their car, go home and cry all day. Like that was could have been a devastating blow. But for me, I thought, well, I know exactly how to rebuild my body. Like this sucks right now, but I'm going to get it back. And I never had a doubt. I never had a hiccup. I never had a setback. I went straight forward with gentle baby steps, making progress. And a little over a year after finishing all my treatment, I ran Boston Marathon. So yay for me. I know
Amazing.
how to do it. But it was sitting there on that machine, having this moment with myself. That's where I really started to agonize for my peers.
Yeah.
I thought, oh my gosh, what would it be like to be one of the millions of cancer patients around the world who are being devastated physically and mentally and not know how to rebuild my body, how to get my life back, how to
Yeah.
get vibrancy and quality back. And so that's how Your Healthy Cancer Comeback, Sick to Strong, was born. I just thought, I have to do something.
Yeah.
I have to turn this into lemonade somehow. And I did.
Yeah. I did the same with my community. I mean, I wrote a book too, but like it's creating a purpose behind the madness of it all. And the interesting thing though, I will going back to what you were just talking about is fitness is, or people that are just starting is they need to start where they are.
That's exactly right. Start
They
where you
s-
are.
they get like you were saying. So you were 80% less and you're like, okay, this is what I'm doing. And maybe this is 4 reps instead of whatever the 15 I used to do. And maybe I'm only here for 5 minutes, but guess what? Tomorrow or maybe next week, it's gonna be 6 minutes. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna keep and you just keep getting just 1% better. It's just starting to move more. If you've done nothing, just walk more and just keep going from there. So the other thing within the book, and she talks a lot about fitness, a lot about nutrition, but the other thing that I love is there's a whole section on different ways to brighten your day. It's so important, like that mental aspect of it. I forgot to say this too, what you said in the beginning was about how you have to first go through it and be like, okay, there are babies and small children going through chemo. If they're doing it, I can do it. And that's number one. But then also, you do have to focus on the day. And it might be something super small, but something positive that you can either do or you think about what you're grateful for. But so she has a whole section on that. Like, it's such a good book. And then I also want to talk about some of the complementary care and benefits that you do.
Yeah.
because I agree too. I completely agree with Western medicine, but I also agree I also think you have to add in
Mhm.
other therapies to help you get through that.
Yeah, 100%. So, if you've had anything done surgically, I believe everybody needs physical therapy. Physical therapy is like having a medically sophisticated personal trainer to guide you back from pain and suffering to mobility and high performance. I think PT is brilliant, and my PT got me through my tough times. A massage is a nice thing to do to yourself and somewhat necessary, and some insurance will cover it. I ended up.
Especially lymphatic massage.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, golly, that would be very important. Acupuncture for me, it was very handy dandy. I had neuropathy temporarily, thank goodness, but it actually made a dent for me. I don't know if it's going to work for everybody, but it worked for me. And then we go into things like sexual health counseling, which, when it comes to breasts, a lot of women are having their sexual identity altered. Maybe they're not feeling so good. Maybe we have a partner that's worried about hurting us. And when we're not talking about breast cancer, some people are having pelvic cancers or rectal cancers. And, maybe that sexual relationship is taking a hit and you need some help getting it back, because that's obviously a wonderful way to connect with a partner and feel special and, have joy and pleasure. Or maybe it's funny, one of my friends who's a physician at the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, Florida, which is a big deal cancer center. And it's a big deal hospital association with a great cancer clinic. But she said, Fitz, I love that you added this in the book, because we sell vibrators in our gift shop. And we totally tell our cancer patients, go down, get a vibrator, use it. It will make your stay and all of your days better. So
That's amazing. I know. You know what? I had a section in my book too. That is not talked about enough. And women are embarrassed. They don't dare to say anything because there could be, once a lot of us are thrown into menopause overnight, like I was, and you have vaginal dryness and pain with intercourse. And I was like, okay, this is vaginal atrophy. And I'm like, this is just what we're dealing with. And then I talked with my OBGYN, who's also really open and asked me all the questions. I was like, whoa, but it was so nice to have this conversation with somebody. And she told me all of the things that I could still do and that can all be normal. So that's awesome.
Well, and the other real important message is whatever's going on, tell your medical professionals about. They have heard it all. They
Mm.
have heard it all. I certainly had some moments where I thought, gee whiz, this is embarrassing. But hey, Dr. Gordon, what's going on? Can I get some help? And he'd write a prescription. I'd be at some sort of Walmart in California filling it. But yeah, talk to them about it. They've heard it all. They're not there to think you're weird. I'm sure there's nothing you could tell your especially your cancer docs that they'll think is weird. And there was a few times where I thought, well, of course, like during my first chemo, I got chemo on Monday. I felt kind of mousy for a few days. Thursday, everything hit the fan, and I just became the most sick person. Plus, it was the day of my last period, so I stopped taking my pill on the first day of chemo, and so it was my period and chemo sickness, and I suffered through it all weekend because I just thought, well, of course I'm sick. I have cancer. I have chemo. Why would I call and tell my doctor I'm getting sick? Of course, he probably knows I'm getting sick. And then it was early Monday morning at about 2 a.m. I had hit the wall and I gave in and I tapped out, and I emailed Dr. Gordon. I said, I have been violently ill all weekend. Is there anything you can do to help? And I fell asleep for a couple hours and I woke up to this, God send message. He said, oh my God, get in here. We'll get you IV fluids immediately. Come now. And I should have told him on Thursday. And so if you're going through it, if something hurts, if something stings, if something burns, if whatever it is, tell them right away. These medical professionals are sharpshooters, and maybe they don't have a cure 100% of time for what ails us, but they're pretty good. They got a lot of good solutions if you give them a chance.
Absolutely. Are you on hormone blocking meds?
Tamoxifen.
Okay. So I'm on, and that's happened with me too. I am on an aromatase inhibitor because they put me into menopause, and I am on, I was on exemestane, and I just thought my hands, I felt like I was 80 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the middle of the night, I couldn't even like open up doorknobs, and I
Wow.
just was having like severe bone and joint pain. And I just thought, this is just my life now. And I talked with my doctor and she's like, let's try another one. I'm like, oh, okay. So we just switched letrozole and I'm on that and I have zero issues, not one.
So I love that talking point too. I'm one of the lucky ones. I have zero negative side effects from tamoxifen. It's like taking an M&M every
Yeah.
night. I don't think about it. When I was going through chemo, and the worst part, there was this the woman at the post office, and she had been through breast cancer previously. She had all the pink ribbons and the pink banners and the pink everything in her little post office station. And when I would come in, I mean, the sweetheart, bless her heart, we say, she was nice, but she would say, oh, just wait until you're done. You're going to be on tamoxifen and your hips are going to hurt and you're this and I just would think, are you kidding me? Like, is this the right time to say that? Why would you say that to me? But it never happened. And so maybe one of your listeners is going through it right now and they're fearing the aftermath. For many of us, it's a free ride. I tend to think, for me, and it's just superstition. I mean, there's no science to it. Maybe because I was run over by a train for 15 months with the chemo, that I'm getting off lucky with tamoxifen. But don't be afraid. There's a bunch of us having a great time on these miracle drugs that prevent cancer coming. And then if you do have a hard time, then ask your doctor and hopefully they have an alternative.
Yeah, I definitely look at mine as a miracle drug. It is important how you look at it. If you look at it as this is what's gonna happen. I think it's so important to protect our minds. And I don't love that that woman does that because people just assume, I think because of your attitude, you're like, yeah, I'm not gonna let that happen. But a lot of people will be like, I just assume that's gonna happen to me. And it does. Our minds, our thoughts, it's powerful. So
100%. It's funny. I mean, the chemo drugs that beat my arse, I have friends that are running 40 miles a week on the same drugs. And I look at them and think, whoa, how are you functioning at such a high level? But we all respond differently. So
totally.
don't let somebody
Absolutely.
else's experience
Yeah.
terrify you.
I was same with radiation. I was like, I'm gonna power through this. And I was so freaking tired.
Oh,
And
man.
I see other women, I have friends, and they're like, easy peasy. Can't even tell. I'm like, dang. So just know what somebody else's journey is not your journey. We have unique bodies, we're made unique. We all will respond to whatever it is differently. So you have been awesome. Anything else I missed or anything else you want to share?
Yes. So I would like to share something I'm very excited about. So you
Yay.
talked about your healthy cancer comeback. And again, I hope everybody gets this. Listen, usually I'll tell someone in the media, I'll say, I hope 0% of your listeners have cancer, but I know everybody loves a cancer patient. And this makes a great gift because we all want to help, right? But I know your audience is different and
Yes.
us are dealing with cancer. So this will get you through it, right? But just recently released is the
Oh.
Healthy Cancer Comeback Journal. And I am so proud of this thing because it's just everything. So of course, both of them have fun, happy colors because I just want to spread some not only quality information and guidance, but make it happy, right? But the Healthy Cancer Comeback Journal is also full color and super fun. And it's a place to put all of your diagnosis details or your scan results, blah, blah, blah. But then, it's hundreds of different prompts, a place to put your family stuff, your friendships, your fears, your faith, to document all of your goings on, your appearance. But one of the funnest things of the book I love so much is I've put in Advent style countdown calendars for chemo.
Love
So
it.
the chemo bag as you go through, I've got the lightning bolts or here's surgery. So some people have more than one surgery, especially if you've had a full mastectomy. The radiation countdown. And then there's fun stuff like what celebrity do you look like bald? For me, it was a lot of things, but namely Crazy Britney. They would say, you look like Crazy Britney Spears.
Oh.
Yeah. Have you nicknamed your port? Have you nicknamed your tumor? So the book is there to, again, not only a place for catharsis and record keeping, but to have some fun and document your experience. And then the last 100 pages is a daily fitness journal for hydration, sleep, exercise, nutrition, and strawberry moments. Do you know what strawberry moments are?
I saw it in the book. Share it.
Yeah. So Strawberry Moments came from my kids' summer camp. They go this Sleep in the Woods 2-week camp. And every night In each cabin, the campers gather around and they share their strawberry moment from the day, which is the best moment from each day. So if it's at summer camp, maybe it was winning the canoe race or learning a funny song or whatever it is, making a new friend. Well, in Cancer, even on your worst days, there are still strawberry moments. And I really think it's important that people laser focus on those. So in that daily log, I'm always asking for the strawberry moments, and that's your place to say, I got a text from my high school buddy I haven't heard from, or I got great news, or my nurse was really funny, whatever it is. Strawberry moments. I hope everyone starts adopting that habit today. And if you would like to use the Healthy Cancer Comeback Journal to do it, I'd love that too.
That's amazing. So is the journal on Amazon?
Yeah, it's on my books, all three of them. The memoir is my Noisy Cancer Comeback, but the Cancer Comeback series is available on Amazon. I prefer it if people come to fitzness.com. That's fitzness.com. The books are there in hardcover, paperback. I also have an audiobook and ebooks on one of them, but every book that comes out of my office gets signed. So I personalize it to each of you, and I include a fun little gift with purchase. And it all comes in really fun, pretty wrapping, because, cancer's hard. You deserve a little extra niceness in your day.
That's amazing. I love that you do that. So I, of course, will have all that in the show notes. And going back to naming your things, I think that's so important. I walked into my radiation machine and I was so nervous. Like that walk was so scary. I walked in, I saw her and she had lashes. And right. And I was like, I'm gonna be just fine. And I called her Roxy the radiator.
Oh, very fun.
I know. And
my
yeah,
radiation machine.
so good. And I also named the negative voice in my head. I named that voice too. So just helps with that.
My other great nicknames were the first hair that grew out of the very top of my head. I had this one weirdo. It grew like 2 inches overnight, which was so strange, but called it alfalfa. And and then I had this even longer lone hair in the back of my head, and it looked like a ponytail. So I called it Lolita. And my kids were saying, "Shave that, Mom. That's weird." And I said, "No, I am leaving these 2 hairs as a beacon of hope for all the other hairs on my bald head, that if Lolita and alfalfa can work miracles and grow 2 inches overnight, so can they." So
oh, that's so awesome. Oh my gosh, this episode has been so much fun. I love it when I interview somebody who's so much like me and has the same, I think we have the exact same thoughts on everything. So I appreciate you being here. I know my listeners are going to love it. I will have everything in the show notes and how they can connect with you. She's so cute on Instagram and you'll just love her. So
thank you, Jen. We could be besties now, right?
I know. Yes, we can. Besties for sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Thanks, you guys. And we will see you soon.